All right, let's begin with the big story that we're trying to dissect today. And I want to do this by showing you two quotes that have come in from the government a day after the announcements in the budget. So JB Mohapatra, the chairman of the CBDT, has today said that the department does not sit in judgment over the legality of any transaction. The Income Tax Department and the Income Tax Act only looks at whether the transaction that you have entered into are resulting in income. We're not into legality of any income, but can we tax it? That is the reason I would say that taxing cryptocurrency under the new legislation does not attach any legality. Meanwhile, TV Somanathan, the finance secretary, in a quote to a wire agency says, they are in a grey area. It's not illegal to buy and sell crypto. We have now put in a taxation framework that treats crypto assets the same way we treat winnings from horse races or from bets and other speculative transactions. The point I'm trying to make is that the ambiguity still persists over what these high taxes mean for crypto assets. Does it mean it's legit, it will continue, it will be allowed? Or is this just a way to tell investors that there is a bit of warning sign over here? Is it, as cryptocurrency exchanges have interpreted, a positive sign which shows that they have legitimacy? To speak on some of these issues, I'm joined today by Sumit Gupta. He's CEO and co-founder of CoinDCX and the co-chair of BACC, which is the Crypto Assets Association. I'm also speaking with Sandeep Parekh, founder of Finsec Law Advisors. Welcome to both of you, and thank you so much for joining us on the India Development Debate this evening. Sumit, let me begin with your take on this question. Are you persisting with the key takeaway we heard from crypto exchanges yesterday, that a tax on us means that we're definitely legitimate and here to stay?
So Tamanna, first of all, thanks for having me here. And the way the industry sees this move is definitely a step in the right direction, because we've been largely waiting for any announcement to happen. In fact, I was also expecting that at least something should be covered in the budget session. And it just gives a lot more clarity and then confidence to the industry, because today you are taxing it 6 months down. It's difficult. At least the fear that normal investors had, whether this is going to be banned tomorrow, that at least they got some more clarity. So overall, I think it's step in the right direction. However, I feel it's a case of where you're taking 2 steps forward but 1 step back in terms of the tax rate. You just mentioned a point where it is considered at par with gains from speculative activities like lotteries, gambling, which I feel is not the best interpretation. I think there's some discontent there, but largely I think overall taxing crypto is something that is good. It will add as a good revenue channel for the government, but I think the tax slab is something that should be brought at par with what is there in other markets like equities.
Yeah, but the key question that we're asking right now is that what does this tax actually mean for the future of crypto assets in the country? Sandeep, where would you stand in on this debate? What would your interpretation be? If you're taxing something at 30% and taking TDS on it, even if it seems like you don't want to encourage it, definitely doesn't mean that it doesn't have legitimacy. And this has been the big question mark, that can you give legitimacy to something without it being presented and discussed in Parliament? The bill has not seen the light of the day, but the taxes are in place.
So, see, my first year in law school, which was a long time back, my tax class started with this statement that, don't look for logic in tax. Okay. So taxation is kind of pretty independent. We've been hearing statements from all the officials that this is not giving legitimacy. So that's the official position of the government, that they're not deciding on that question today. Having said that, I think it since the bill, I think both the versions of the bill on crypto, which we're looking at a ban, have been deferred twice. And they're looking at taxing right now. I think that's probably a sign that they're not going to ban it, at least that's not the intention today. If they were going to ban it, why would they go through all the effort of taxing it? But from a logical perspective, let me also say that taxes are to be paid even on illegal activities, right? So if you do something completely illegal, like have a contract for murder, let's say, you still, the murderer actually has to pay income tax, right? So there's no kind of automatic guarantee that this legitimizes, and state official statements, as I said, have already come out saying that, we are not legitimizing. That will have to wait till the bill is introduced and passed by each house of the parliament. So, but as I said, just from a purely logical perspective, I doubt they would want to kind of tax something in February and then ban it in May or June. So it looks highly unlikely today. But again, this is something which will have to be discussed in Parliament, and I don't think any of us here can really predict how each member of Parliament will vote on the bill, etc., and what the discussions are going to be. So I think it's premature to discuss that point. But at least the government thinking seems to be the ban is not coming, and there will be more likely it'll be regulated rather than a ban.
The intent also seems to be to give a sort of warning signal to all of the enthusiastic investors who've recently joined the party. Sumit, would you say that's the signal that the industry is getting, that investors are getting? Have you been fielding a lot of queries in the last 24 hours?
Largely people, as I mentioned, right, people are enthusiastic that at least there's some clarity. And then they are worried about the tax rate and 1% TDS. I think that's quite onerous on them, right? And then the whole complexity around no offsetting allowed and no query. I think that's basically what the larger concern is. As Sandeep also mentioned, they're not worried that crypto will be banned. But I think what we have seen is that it's not just the tax rate, but larger the definition of virtual digital asset, finding out that term, defining it. Defining gifting, all of that is basically hints everyone in the direction. And then largely, from the community side as well, we have seen enthusiasm about the move, but discontent about the tax rate, where they are feeling that, okay, this is something which they are not happy with, and why such unfair treatment to crypto. And overall, I think this move of high tax rate is largely, the way I see it is to prevent retail investors from entering into this, because that's basically they'll be coming at a 30% tax rate, which just increase a lot of work for them. And maybe how can and then for the large investors, this is something that they will be more acceptable with. And also to promote long-term holding, right, where people are investing in this and then basically holding their assets for a long term, so that they have to pay that tax whenever they are realizing the gain. So I think those are some of the points, because they have seen a lot of new users even from tier 2, tier 3 cities entering into the space, and maybe the higher tax slab is kept taking that point into consideration. That's
No, so give me a sense, Sumit, of what kind of impact this will have. So typically, what proportion of your investors are those for whom a 30% tax will seem prohibitory, who are smaller retail investors whose ticket size of investments are smaller? What would be their total share in the pie?
I think this flat 30% is going to demotivate a lot of people to enter into this. People who is even strongly believe in the technology, people who strongly believe that, okay, they would want to maybe have 1 or 5% of their portfolio in virtual digital asset. I think this could be a demotivator for them. I think largely, the major concern I see is because a lot of people in India entered years back, maybe 5-6 years back, where they have procured or acquired these cryptos in a very, very low price. Now, when you are asked to pay 30% tax on that, I think that's something which might lead them to think if they need to shift their base or basically, that's not gonna be good for the country, right? People who are early adopters into the technology, people who are innovators, a lot of people who are operating in this space, they believe in it, right? And on the other side, you are seeing countries where they are, pro crypto, where they want to set up their country as a crypto hub. They are inviting companies to set up the base, so that they be the front runner in this space. I think that's something that I'm not able to digest really well, and I think this is something that's not really good for the country. Such a higher tax rate in the long term. Plus, I think largely if you are an investor, if you are earning less than 5 lakh rupees, your annual income is 4-5 lakh rupees. And even if you made like 600 rupees in profits, in crypto profits, now you'll have to do all the income tax filing, because then everyone, who has traded in crypto, they'll have to do all those filing. That again is this something I think even the government doesn't want, all of this filing, for large, 20 million plus retail investors. If someone has any tax liability to pay for crypto earnings, I think there are a lot of nuances to it, which are, which should be taken care of. For example, even in terms of offsetting. Now, this is a market which goes through its own bear cycle, bull cycle, unlike, like any other market, right? Now, if people are, market is not doing very well, and if you're not allowed to offset your losses or carry forward losses, that's something that will be not good. And people who want to do business, or people who want to do even market making or add on to the liquidity, in crypto, that's something which will keep them away. So overall, I think while taxation is good, but I think all of those nuances should also be taken care of, so that at least it doesn't hurt the market, like it doesn't kill the market, right? The way it is designed, I think it's increasing the work for the government, because now you'll have like 20 million people like filing for taxes, and then you're claiming for refund. I think it just create unnecessary work. And I think this could have been, very straightforward, where you're having a similar treatment, just like other asset classes. And it's not something, I mean, you mentioned a point, right? Lottery, gambling. I think it is not that. It is investment in technology. You really believe that, okay, this is basically, Ethereum is something.
That was the finance secretary. I was quoting the finance secretary who said it. And the fact is that they're treating it in the same category as horse racing and lotteries. They're not treating it in the same category as assets. That is the message which has gone out.
Yeah, that's something that I feel leads a lot more discussion with the industry, because in all the previous discussion, I think even what we have shared as an industry, we have shared various reports, position papers. It's very where it's like this is an asset class which is a store of value, and why this makes sense. I'm not saying that every crypto token has a very strong use case, but at least things that have a strong use case, right? You should not treat it equal to gambling, right? I think that would not be a best interpretation, in my opinion.
Okay. Sandeep, I want you to come in and, on some of the comments that Sumit has made, and just give us an idea of practically what it will mean, because there are different interpretations of this also. One example which was given on social media was that if you make a 100 rupee gain on any crypto assets in a year, and then a 100 rupee loss on, as an example I'm giving, on a crypto asset in that same year, then you don't pay any tax at all, because that loss gets offset. Would that still continue in the current understanding of what the government has said? Or would you still pay 100 rupees tax on that 100 rupees that you have made a profit on? Forget about the losses you made.
So let me first address the generic point in terms of taxation. See, first of all, I don't think it's really a high rate of taxation, because 30% is below what I pay as a lawyer for my income tax, right? So we end up paying 35%. So it's broadly in line with what the marginal tax rate is. So I don't, and remember, as I said, even illegal activities are taxed, right? So the example I gave you of a murder contract, that is taxed at the regular rate of the tax slab that we have, really. So crypto was never exempt from taxation, right? So people are anyway obliged to pay. So I really don't see kind of such a big change, to be honest. There is a change certainly with respect to this offsetting business, and I think that is a big disadvantage for crypto, no doubt about that. TDS, again, I don't think it's such a big deal. It just kind of, I think government wants a handle on it, and this is really the only way they can capture because I don't think people have been paying taxes, which is why they create. And again, this is not unique to cryptos. As a lawyer, my clients deduct 10% TDS before they pay me. So it's it doesn't happen in the stock market, of course. So but TDS is essentially a method introduced so that because people were kind of bypassing paying taxes, etc. So TDS will be definitely be sand in the wheels. But the 30% tax is not a big deal. But yes, this lack of set-off will be a problem. Coming to your second question, I think that the kind of accepted wisdom right now, again, it's not a 100% view, is that your 100% loss can be set off against your 100 rupee loss can be set off against your 100 rupee gain in let's say Bitcoin within the same year. So and can be set off against even stuff like NFT and other things which have been defined. It's only the setup is not permitted against really other asset classes in that same period really. So that seems to be kind of, again, it's not 100% view, but most people believe that. The secondly, they've said only cost of acquisition. That would, again, the accepted wisdom seems to be that any gas fees, as they call it, or transaction charges would also be allowable as acquisition costs. So I think that would likely be permitted as the cost which can be deducted from the sale price. So again, both of these are not kind of 100% views, but that seems to be the consensus right now.
That's really the key takeaway. Why is there still this lack of clarity after everything? And I must here accept that a lot of people think too much is being said, talked about and discussed on crypto assets in the context of the budget, which is supposed to be for the whole country. We're facing a lot of other issues, but we're focusing on this because it's new. It's new. People are trying to figure out what it means. There shouldn't be mixed signals on it right now. And we should set a precedent when we devise policy on how to deal with something new, make it clear for everyone involved. And in that spirit, we're discussing and hoping that there's some clarity very soon. With that, I want to thank you, Sandeep. I want to thank you, Sumit, for joining us on the show today.
Thank you.